Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Just Nick Studio. And for this layout I'm using the cut file called Quilted Background. So I gathered together some supplies that I wanted to use. These are mainly Pinkfresh Studio Happy Blooms. I printed off the cut file there on the right and I'm using up some scraps from these ranges, and I've cut all the pieces that you can see out of lots of different papers, about 6 or 7 I think in all. Just come in with a distress oxide and I'm just going to just go around the edges and add some ink to these. This cut file is a perfect way to use up small amounts of paper left over from a range, and I've tried to pick ones that are all either like main pinks or have got pink in them. They haven't. Some of them have got a white background, some of them have got a pale pink background. A few have got some yellow in and some green, which are obviously a bit of a contrast. So I'm just laying them out roughly to look like the cut file, just so that I can space them out a little bit. And just as a starting point, they may not stay exactly like this, but I just wanted to see whether I needed to cut any more or whether these were going to work. Because some of the offcuts, I think some were 6 by 6, so I actually got 6 of these, I think, or maybe even 9. Anyway, and some I only got 2 or 3 out of the scraps. So just going to make sure that the dark, you know what I mean, spacing them out so that there's a mixture of planed and patterned in each row. So I really like the way they looked, but then I decided I would go back in and cut an offset in white cardstock so that I could actually put the quilted pieces onto the white, and I've done that off camera and I've stuck them down with some double-sided tape. Well, I hadn't realised initially that when I'd laid them out to start with, I actually hadn't laid them out in the pattern that they were designed in, which I thought was quite funny. But anyway, so I've gone back through the rest of this range and a couple of other Pinkfresh ranges that I own, and I'm looking to put some layers behind this photograph. The photograph is a vintage black and white one from, well, 55 years ago. I'm just about to celebrate my birthday, or I might have done by the time this video goes live, but that was taken when I was a week old. And it's not a photo that I've scrapped before, so I thought actually it went really well with the quilted background. I thought it would be nice to have a baby photograph. So I'm going through the bits and pieces I've got left from this range and, as I say, other Pinkfresh ranges. And I'm going to look at doing at least a couple of clusters. So I come back in and I decided I'm going to actually stick the quilted piece down onto this 12 by 12 gingham paper. As you can see, I've put some foam on there. I know it was yellow, but you're not going to see it, just to raise this up so you get a little bit of depth in the holes in the offset. So I really like the way that looks. So that's all stuck now, so I can concentrate on decorating and embellishing it. So I'm just going to add some of these journaling cards and ephemera pieces behind the photograph, and I'm just adding some double-sided tape to them just so I can layer them up. I do pull them apart a little bit and then rearrange them. I want a little bit of each one to show really, either side of the photo. So I'm just bringing in pinks and greens mainly there, which we know is a really good colour combination. So I'm just taking my time, just sorting out the layers, because obviously the cut file at the moment is the focus of the layout, but obviously I want the photograph to be that as well. So I'm just making sure I've got the layers that I want where I want them to be. I've actually behind the photograph got a little pocket. They were ready-made pockets and envelopes that came, and just lifting out there is a journaling card that I've trimmed that says "Love You," and I'm actually going to add some journaling to that later on, and I'll talk more about that card further on in the video. So I definitely want another cluster minimum, so I'm looking at that frame there. As I say, these are at least one Pinkfresh range I've got here. So basically when a range is no longer current, I tend to mix it with the rest from that manufacturer. So even though I know that I've got a lot of Happy Blooms range in front of me, there could be some bits from older ranges mixed in the bag. Just because I know that generally manufacturers use the same sort of colourways, sometimes the same sort of style of ephemera, so that you can actually mix and match so much easier. So I tend to keep them together. So generally this is happy blooms, but there may be some other bits sneaking in. But that's okay, because the idea is that I want to use it up because they're such lovely papers, so, and ephemera, so I don't mind. So I've decided that actually maybe 3 clusters would be nice on this rather than 2 in a diagonal. So I bring the top left one down to somewhere nearer the middle, still keeping the frame and the flower ephemera, but now I'm thinking also that I want one above the photo but more central, and that will be another flower ephemera. All 3 are going to have these big ephemera die cut pieces, and actually I'm surprised I've not used them before really, because they're all really nice, but maybe it was just because they were a little bit on the big side, but I think this quilting background can really take them. So I'm just deciding to get my photo into position, and I'll get the die cut flower attached just over the corner. I don't want to cover too much of the photograph. I think I printed it 3.5 by 2.5 inches. I didn't want to print it too big because it's actually not that great quality, because obviously, as I said, it was taken in the 60s, and it was an original that I'd scanned. This isn't the original. I tend to keep those safe, but the quality, as I blew it up, the quality was less good. So I think it's got a good enough impact being this sort of size. So I'm going to slowly but steadily stick these bits down. Now I would really recommend you have a look at the Just Nick Studio cut file store. There's cut files being added all the time. There's some really good versatile cut files there. Also there's a great team that works with these cut files. You'll find them on Instagram and on the Facebook group, and lots of inspiration out there, really different designers. Some ones you'll know from other manufacturers and other kit clubs and stuff, so they're really well-known names. And yeah, just loads of inspiration, because obviously if you're going to pay for a cut file, that you want to see it used in lots of different ways. So do hop over to the Instagram Just Nick Studio group and have a look at all that's there. So as you can see, I'm just still slowly but surely sticking these bits down. This is the kind of part that I really enjoy the most, just like twiddling, I think one of my friends used to call it, where you just start fussying around trying to sort out where exactly you want things. I've got some foam pads. I tend to cut them up to make them smaller, and also to raise things up. These word strips that you see on the layout, they were from one of the Happy Blooms papers. I think it was called Happy Place. Really, really useful. I've used loads of them, and I've still got quite a few of them left. There always seems to be a phrase on there that would be suitable. And in fact, they actually are the title on this layout eventually, and I don't need anything big. Because of the ephemera pieces, the flower die cuts being so big, I thought it might as well keep the words in the title bits smaller. And so that's what I did. I realised that 2 of the die cuts had butterflies on with the flowers. So on the one by the photograph, I added a puffy butterfly over the smaller one. Thought that worked. I left the other one as it is in the middle, and at the top I brought in a die cut butterfly that was quite big. So I thought the 3 of them actually, they always say about the rule of 3s and using things to make your eye travel around a page. So I thought with the 3 clusters and the 3 butterflies and the 3 sets of flowers and the journaling strips as well, I thought it was a nice little, it was pleasing to look at and kind of gave a like harmonious feel. So I hope you think that when you see the finished layout at the end. So I'm just adding this butterflies in. For some reason I don't like them all to face in the same direction, so it makes me think about what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to just trim down some of these words, phrases, just to trim the white on the outside. I actually want to keep it so it helps them pop, but I'm just, when I try to do it with my scissors, I don't know what it is with me, but I don't seem to get the lines straight, and I always notice when I don't. Probably nobody else does, but I can't help myself. So I'm going to get some foam pads and I will be adding those on. I do like adding dimension to my layouts. So it's one of the things that I don't mind how many layouts I get in an album particularly. I know some people get a bit stressed about how few they get in an album because of the depth to them, but I try not to worry about these sort of things. So and I do like the way that building up the layers and the depth, the way it looks. So I'm just going to check, make sure there's no other word phrases that I want to use on this layout, and I'll stick it all down off camera rather than waste any more of your time. So what I wanted to do is add a tassel to the card in the envelope behind the photograph. So the thing that I'm holding is a tassel maker that I've made myself. So it's a piece of card, it's got 2 notches in the top for a piece of embroidery floss. I've come in and I've wrapped another piece of embroidery floss around this card about 10 times, and then I bring in another piece. I'm just going to knot the bit at the top to create the top of this tassel. Then I bring another piece in through the hole in the card, and that's going to create like the head of the tassel. So I'm going to slide this off this piece of card. I mean, you can literally make this from scraps to make your own tassels. I'm making it look clumsy, but it is really easy to do. So I've got the bit at the top, it's tied nice and tight. I've got the bit tied less than a third of the way down to create the head, and I'm just making sure that is really tight, and I'm pulling those strings down. So I've got the 2 strings at the top, I'm bringing the other 2 down, and now I'm going to trim the base of the tassel. Obviously you can make the piece of card that you use as big or as small as you want to make big or small tassels, but I just think this is a really easy skill, and I'm not sure that you've seen it before. So honestly, you saw me make that, and that was filmed in real time. So I've made that tassel. Now I've decided how I want to attach it to the card. So I'm going to add 3 strings in. So I've 2 strings, I've put that through the head of the tassel, and I want a third because I want to plait this. So I thread a needle with another piece of embroidery thread, and I have a knot on the end. So I thread that through the head of the tassel. So I've got the piece that goes either side, and I've got the third one that I've sewn in. And now I've stuck it to my desk with washi tape, and now I'm just going to plait that. That is actually faster than my hands really move. But it's just to give you the idea of what I'm doing. And then I'm going to actually put a hole in the card that's going to go in the pocket, and I'm going to attach. So that's me making a hole in the card, and then I'm actually going to put the strings of the tassel through that, so I can hold it in place. So you can actually knot it on the far side if you want, or you can loop it through. There's lots of different ways, but it actually shows a way of getting it to stay in the pocket, so you know there's something to pull out. I hope you've enjoyed this layout. If you like this channel, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe if you'd like. Do check out Just Knit Studio, some fab cut files, and I hope to see you here again soon. Bye for now.